Hey everyone, this is Sean. I am actually right now streaming live to both Facebook as well as YouTube. And so this is week two of my series that I'm doing on, different topics of finance that you'll find, apply to your life. Basically taken from my book, Saving Your Future. A link to the book is in the description if you're interested. But, just to kind of share information with you and, help you grow in your financial life. So in this, it's funny actually. Earlier today, this was the topic I was talking about, but earlier was planning on talking about. But earlier today, I was talking to my mother-in-law, and she, just the topic of what I was going to do came about, and we basically discussed that with respect to the mortgage crisis that we had a number of years ago. Essentially the biggest cause of that in my mind is, you can put blame on the banks, we can put blame on, the people. But the idea was that I think the people expected or understood that the bank was out for their best interest. But remember, a bank is a business. And so every business is in business to make money. And that's all they're in business for, nothing else. So they were looking at it from this perspective, and I want to kind of share this and get to the point that really the person responsible for your financial success is you, nobody else. So you can take my advice, you can adjust it, you can question, comment it. I would love comments from you on what your thoughts are from what I say. You can agree, disagree, whatever you want to do. But basically, you're responsible, and nobody else is going to care the way you do about your finances. So here's the way I look at it. The bank is looking to, at your credit worthiness and whether or not they think either you could pay or they can make money. So during the financial crisis, what was happening? Well, before the financial crisis, obviously, once that happened, everything changed for a while. And I actually think it's coming back to where it was before. But the reason why, what they were trying to do is say, okay, well, how do we make money? So during that time period, the housing boom was upon us, and pretty much the bank was going to make money no matter what. So if they gave you a mortgage, they would then bundle your mortgage along with a whole bunch of other people's mortgages, and they would sell them off to Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, or other institutional investors. So people were investing in mortgage-backed securities, which is another way of saying they were buying up your mortgages. So the bank might look at it and say, look, hey, I'm going to buy up this. I'm going to package your mortgage with others, sell them off. So the risk is off my books anyway. So I really don't care what happens after that. So that's one of the areas that happened. The other thing that they were saying is, well, let's say that the particular bank that you were working with was going to keep your mortgage. They were looking at it this way. Let's say you bought a house for $200,000. The market was such that, houses in most areas would sell in a week, 2 weeks, maybe a month at the most. And so basically what would happen is, and there were bidding wars. So, if you were going to buy your house for $200,000, you're either going to keep it for a number of years, pay your mortgage and everything's fine, and the bank's going to make their interest, or you're going to default on that mortgage. They're going to repossess the house, sell it for more than $200,000, 210, 220, whatever it is, get all the fees and everything associated with it, and they're good to go. So they didn't really have to worry about whether or not you could afford to pay your mortgage or not. They were going to make money one way or the other. So from their perspective, it was just make as many loans as we can. Other part being that interest rates are low. So the way a bank makes money is to say, okay, here is how much money I'm going to get from, I have to give to the depositor. That's where they get their money, right? So if somebody deposits their money in the bank then takes that money and uses that in a way to make money. So the difference that they're making is generally a spread between what they're paying the person that's giving them the money, or the depositor, investor, whatever it might be, and who they loan it to. So if they're giving the person that's depositing the money, I don't know, 1%, they have to make 3, 4, 5%, whatever it is, 6%, in order to make money themselves. So what are they going to do? They're going to find, obviously, the best risks, but then when the rates are so low, the delta that they can be able to make. So for example, if I have a mortgage, that if I can give people mortgages at 4% or 3%, I have to sell a lot more mortgages than if mortgage rates were at 10, 12, 15% to get to the same amount of money. So it made sense for them to make more and more loans to people so that they could increase their amount of revenue. You could either make more money by making more per transaction or having more transactions. So in this case, the market and all the things were ripe to create a scenario where it made sense for them to lend money to as many people as they could. So they're looking at it as, okay, well, if you don't pay, you default, we're going to be able to repossess your house and sell it off really, really quickly and make our money back and then some. So where's the risk? Two, if we're not going to do that, we're going to be selling off, packaging up your loan and selling it off to other investors. So we're just making the fees and a certain, commission from those investors. So money that way. And there really was no downside until all of a sudden everything kind of, hit the peak point of this isn't happening anymore. And at that point, then it was, everybody's scrambling. At that time, I was working at Morgan Stanley, and as it was explained to me in, I want to say 2006, 2007, is, we keep the, lower tranche or the not quite as good portion of the portfolio. And I said, well, that doesn't make sense because it's garbage. And they said, well, no, because while the people are paying, we're making 16, 18% on our money. So this is great, not looking at the fact that eventually this is going to come back and haunt us. So that's that, right? That was the history of where things were. Obviously, some things are tighter, but I'm seeing a resurgence of the market from the perspective of, I've seen some of these more risky loans out there lately. And, what the scenario is essentially is the banks are still looking for ways to make money. So if it's VA or, other military individuals that can put no money down, get into a house for, like I say, no money down or for a low introductory amount, or, like a smaller than traditional 20% investment, that's okay with them because, they have, kind of the securities around those. So they're okay with that and they can make more loans. I've seen some even creative things, but that's probably for another topic, but be happy to discuss that if anybody's interested. So what do we do then? When you want to buy a mortgage, you want to buy a house, you got to get a mortgage unless you have enough money to buy the entire house. And if so, then, this probably isn't for you, but, I would love to hear how you did it. So, comment below and, tell everybody else how you got to that point. So let's just say that at this point you're saying, okay, I want to save up for a house. I want to, I have a certain down payment. How much house can I really afford? The golden rule, or the rule of thumb, like, as in anything else, is about a third, 30% to a third of your income, your monthly income, can be allocated to a mortgage. And you don't want much more than that. Let's just say you think, well, I have a really strong skill set. I see the market going up, I'm earlier in my career and I see where I'm going to be making even more money in the next 6 months, year. I have a promised raise, whatever it might be. And so I can squeak up a little bit higher, but I still wouldn't go too much higher because you put yourself in a dangerous situation. So I'm going to go ahead and determine, here's my monthly income. Here's the money I have every month. A third of that at the most, maybe 35%, I'm willing to allocate towards a mortgage. So figure out what that amount is. Within your mortgage, you also have to consider the taxes, which always go up, right? So, you also have to consider homeowners insurance. So you might think, okay, I'll take my numbers and, I'm buying a $250,000 house and the, principal plus interest is $1,200. Well, your monthly payment might be $1,700 because you also have to factor in the, the taxes that go into escrow, or you have to put them aside yourself. As well as insurance and so on, and expect those numbers to go up as well. So prepare for that. Then once you have that, one of the things I'm going to, and I'll see if I can do another video on how this works, but there's a spreadsheet that you can use in Excel. You can just go File, New in Excel and look for Mortgage Calculator and use that template to put in the amount of the amount you're going to borrow and put in the, the number of years you're going to have that mortgage, and then put in, any of the other variables and such, when you're going to start and so on. And it'll actually map out for you exactly how you're going to set up, exactly what your payments are going to be. And then, like I say, layer in what the taxes might be, so you can call the town and say, hey, what are the taxes on XYZ house? Or your real estate agent should have that. So consider that in there as well. And then say, okay, well, this is what I'm going to have. And then, let's just say for the sake of argument, it comes out to $1,700 a month. Well, What if it's $1,800 a month or $1,900 a month or even $2,000? I want to have that buffer in there as well. Can I afford to make those payments? If the answer is yes, then you're in pretty good shape. You want to make sure that a lot of your other debt is paid off and you're ready to go. Then comes the next question. Well, do I take a 15-year mortgage? Do I take a 20-year mortgage? Do I take a 30-year mortgage? Traditionally, people have taken 30-year mortgages, but 15 years become much more common. So which one's better or which one's right? Well, in some ways, it's really going to depend on you. So let's really kind of, sorry, I'm getting a little feedback there. Apologies for that. So let's look at that. What makes more sense, a 15-year mortgage or a 30-year mortgage? Well, one thing depends on, your age and when you want to be done paying your mortgage. But, another thing is the rate, the interest rate. So if the mortgage rate, let's say kind of like it is today at the date of recording, around 4%, 4.5%, let's just say you're thinking, okay, well, I can invest my money and I will invest my money in something else, the extra money that I might have outside of my mortgage, right? So I'm paying my mortgage, I'm paying my monthly bills for electric, gas, car insurance, going out to eat, whatever. I'm paying all my bills and I have money left over. How do I invest that money that I have left over? If I believe that I can invest that money I have left over in something that's going to make more than what my mortgage payment is, then I should potentially take that money and invest it and have an extended mortgage, right? So have the 30-year mortgage. So let me put that a different way. Let's just say I'm going to take out a $200,000 mortgage, and I'm not doing the numbers here. So my monthly payment on that would be, let's just say $1,500 a month on a 30-year mortgage. If it's $1,200 a month on a 15-year mortgage, you're talking about $300 difference. Can I instead take that 30-year mortgage and I'm not sure if I got my numbers right. So obviously on the 15 year, it's going to be a little bit more. So let's say it's $1,500 a month on the 15-year mortgage and $1,300 a month on the 30, because obviously it's going to be less. The difference between the 30 and the 15, can I take that 200, 300, whatever it is difference and invest that in something at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10%? So is that it would make more sense for me to take that difference, that leftover money, and invest that in something else as opposed to my mortgage? Or if not, would it make more sense and would I be less disciplined with that money so that it would make sense for me to take that money and put it into my mortgage instead? So that's one way to look at it. Another way to look at it is if you're going to live in the house for a considerable period of time, and that's where you can kind of go from, should I do a adjustable rate mortgage or should I do a fixed rate mortgage? If you're going to be there for a long time or you plan on being in your house for a while, the fixed rate mortgage is generally going to be the best way to go. If you're thinking, all right, well, I'm going to get out of there in, a couple of years, 2, 3 years, then the adjustable 3, 5 year ARM might make more sense. Adjustable rate mortgage, that is, for ARM. That might make sense for you. So, consider, which one might make the best solution for your particular scenario. And like I said, if the longer term mortgage means that you can invest more money in other investments, then strongly consider that. If it means you're just going to spend that $200 or $300 on something, silly or frivolous, then definitely don't. If it means the difference between being able to afford to buy the mortgage or buy the house with the mortgage or not, then you might definitely consider the 30-year. Now, if it's your second or third house, let's say you buy a house 2, 3, maybe like 5, 10 years later, you started your first house, you bought at 30, now you're 40, buying your second house, you might say, well, I don't want to do a 30-year mortgage because that's going to put me at 70. I'd rather be done at 60 or less than that. So I'm going to go with the shorter mortgage. And if that makes sense for you, then that's the way to go. Another option is to say, okay, well, I'd rather do the 30-year mortgage, and I can always make and check that this is the case on your particular mortgage. Most mortgages don't have a early payment penalty. So therefore, if you pay $200, $300 extra per month, you will pay down the mortgage faster. And, if there's a particular time crunch or a particular period where you definitely can't afford to do that, then that's okay. Go ahead and, make the standard payment at the 30 year. And then other times when you can throw an extra couple $100, or maybe when you get tax return, you can throw $1,000 or $500 extra on your mortgage. That's going to eat down the principal quicker. So two schools of thought on whether or not to have a mortgage longer or not. Again, I think a lot of that goes back to, does it make sense that you can invest money in something else? So for example, I listened to Rick Edelman, and he says, with historic rates being as low as they are, if you can get a mortgage at 3.5%, why would you say, hey, I'll take that for a shorter period of time? I'll take that for as long as I possibly can, because I can take that money and in the difference and invest it in something else that's going to grow even more than that 3.5% that I'm paying off. So why wouldn't I consider doing that? And then there's people that, for years I felt like, and I'm kind of in between the two. I felt like pay off the mortgage faster because then you have equity, you're done, you're good to go. Also consider the tax advantages or differentials here. So for the longest time, and the new tax law changes that scope a little bit, but for the longest time, we're in a situation where you can deduct your mortgage interest. So if you paid off your mortgage, you'd have nothing to deduct. So maybe it makes sense to have that mortgage and to be able to take that money that you'd otherwise be paying down on the house and invest that in something else. So, I hope this is something that's interesting to you. I hope that I've been able to share some information that's of quality. I would like to, make this a dialogue. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. I'd love to hear your questions, because I can format and formulate additional live streams based on what your questions and comments are, and, tailor them toward what you're really looking to hear or looking to see. So, what are your thoughts? Do you have a 30-year mortgage? Do you have a 15-year mortgage? If you're looking to buy a house, how much money, do you feel like you need to put down? Definitely recommend the 20% if you're going to be able to avoid the PMI. But if it's going to be the difference of whether or not you can afford to buy the house or not, then it might make sense to just go ahead and, pay that PMI for a short period of time and, till you get over the hump. So, what's your scenario? What's your situation? What do you think as far as, buying a house? Have you bought a house? Do you own a house for a while? What tips and strategies can you share with others? Please comment, because, I want to help as many people as I can. And a lot of that's going to be how much you can help other people too. So, I definitely recommend that, if you have information and you disagree, agree, there's no one right or wrong way to do this. So I would love to hear your thoughts, your ideas, and believe me, I can, I can definitely always, reformat my thought process too. And that's what life's all about. Is if you have a compelling argument, I'd love to hear it. I'd love to be able to share your information with others as well. And, we all grow that way. So thanks so much for watching today. And, we're going to do this every Monday night. We're doing this on June 18th right now of 2018. And every Monday I'm going to do a stream here. And, again, these are going to get better and better based on your comments, what you're looking for, what you want to hear, and my answering your questions. So thanks so much for watching today. And, I definitely appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Have a great day.